morning. I say good morning, Belize, and good morning. And how are you this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show on a Monday morning. I'm Ernesto. With me is Troy, and welcome.
Yes.
Troy, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Ernesto. I see you suffering a little case of the frogs. We go through that from
Yeah.
time to time, you know.
How about the frog in the throat?
Yes, indeed. It's the 24th day of August. We're barreling down towards the end of the month and getting into the September celebration. We're already there, actually. But first, let me say good morning to all our viewers and listeners throughout the length and breadth of this beautiful jewel of ours. Certainly glad you could join us. Those of you streaming, welcome as well. And we trust that this morning's discussions are going to be engaging and informative. When it's Monday, we do a quick recap of the Sunday lottery draw. First prize was 1026. 1026 or 1026, with 26 being the single winning number. The second prize, 1288. 1288. 1288. And we have the third prize is 8834. 8834. So we have a lot of eights all over the place. So there you have it, your Sunday lottery draw. The missing numbers, 5, 7, and 9. 5, 7, and 9 are the missing numbers.
So you win or you never even come close?
No. William came close. He kind of gave me a little hint that he was right there in the series, around 27, 28 he had. We just didn't have 26. So that's how close you could be sometime and still not be able to win it. But of course, as they always say, you must be in it to win it.
That's right.
I didn't buy, so I couldn't expect to win.
participate.
If you didn't win and you want to try your luck again, the Bolido comes up tonight at 9:10 a.m. right here on Love FM and Love Television.
That's right.
And
well, this morning we'll be opening up the lines more so you can chat with us. But we've also invited the president of the PSU to join us and his colleague to be talking about SARA this morning. So we're expecting them to drop in.
The Semi-Autonomous Revenue Authority.
That's right.
All right. Well,
So stay with us.
Take a quick break.
We'll take a break. Welcome, please. Welcome to the morning show. And today is the 24th day of August 2026. August is leaving us fast.
Yes, very much so, very much so. Getting into the celebration for our independence, 45 years. Look at me, I'm 45. I am Belize, I'm 45. In your newscast, I saw something as it relates to cost of living, where the whole discussion is surrounding the cost of living, which is the whole affordability claim is plaguing the earth because as soon as your cost of inputs go up, your acquisition costs will go up, because we see that happening in electricity, we see fuel,
Yep.
and everything is driving. We see the United States, that's one of their biggest cry right now. That's the top of their election ticket, affordability. And the Prime Minister talked about the issue of community stores. That's more novel than anything else. For me, I think the easiest way for government to control, because you have to go set up a whole infrastructure for that, and compete with the private sector, and have a whole lot of backlash. The best thing to do is to identify those, what I call survival items. And put price control on them. So, and you do price control from the standpoint from custom entry when those are coming, and so you could track their markup. Because the idea is that he wants to limit the markup. Yes, it's a free market. That's why you have to just pick the most, maybe I don't know what that number will be. He used 100, but it should be less than 100.
I was thinking about that. What are the basic items?
You already have some.
Am I right when I'm saying the basic food items that we eat every day are already somewhat controlled, aren't
Well,
they?
it's not only what you eat. It's some of what you use as well, because you might have other things that you don't eat, like detergent and other things that are also essential for your household survival. So that is what you have to expand the list to a point where some of the things then that we consider luxury right now, like deodorants and so, can be in that basket, because that is also part of what your livelihood surrounds. So it is to expand that list a little bit, but you have to make an understanding that we're going to go through a phased process. So the merchants, because I am not comfortable with the state taking taxpayers' money, investing in goods, and then trying to set up shop. And
that always fails, though, you know that.
Yeah, the union tried that too.
Socialism,
Public Service Union
tries to work that way.
When I was part of the whole process with Public Service Union, we tried that. We tried that sort of to help with cost of living. This discussion is not just today.
No.
We've been having this discussion all the way back.
Mexicans have tried it.
In the 90s,
They had
the IMSS and all of that
the
that they had,
SMs that they have.
sponsored by their Social Security. But the reality is that it didn't work because there was a lot of logistical issue. And imagine you having, say, 100 of those stores, and the logistics for that, and the stockpiling, and the security. And if you think that you have scandal with procurement today, imagine what you will have with that as trying to control that. You the talk about set up a whole infrastructure for that, Good idea, but I think we could do it quicker, more impactful, if we focus on those items that are essential
Make
right now.
a specific list.
So essential.
Okay,
And,
you mentioned personal items that we use, all right, deodorant.
I'm just widening the list, because right now we do have a control price list, like rice and beans and those things.
That's
are
already
there.
being done.
So let's
chicken,
tweak it.
Well, watch it. Chicken, which is what
not-
we eat
chicken
the
is
most
not
of,
controlled.
Not controlled.
Not
But can
controlled.
it be?
Yes, you can control it.
Okay.
You can control this. The state can do anything it wants. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
I'll tell you this.
But let's look at chicken. Let's see.
S&P, let me say this first. Standard & Poor's criticized this government by saying you have done nothing with your supermajority in terms of bringing in fiscal measures. This is a fiscal measure. Cost of living is a fiscal measure where you can come in and create some impact with your supermajority. You have done none of that, meaning that the government trying to appease, and so every time you flinch and you flex, is saying you haven't been firm with using your supermajority to make an impact.
can the government give more when it comes to import taxes, GST? Because this is where it's going to go. If I am going to sell you a deodorant, I need to make a certain profit for my business to survive. Now, if you come to me and you say, you know what, I want to cap your profit.
Yes,
We have to make an arrangement.
I could cap the price, and you work within that.
Yeah.
I could cap the price,
But
and you work within.
we have to work and how that price is gonna be
because I
capped.
can always say, listen, this is the price a specific deodorant is going to be. We have to get very centralized in our position right now.
Yeah.
And we can say that this doesn't have to be a long term. This is, say, when
But that's
to
the
a point
first
when
problem.
inflation
Nah,
reduces
that'll
at
never
some
happen.
point.
You know that.
Well,
They'll never go back.
Well, the point is this. No. I'm saying that you could always, just like how you put the subsidy on the fuel with the bus owners, and then that expire over a period of time. So you go back to, because what you want is to get over this period of time while the fuel prices are so substantially high, driving up the cost of production, which drives up everything else that comes in contact with it.
Who and how do we decide my markup? How do we work on that?
Well, that is where the government.
Who
The
will
government can
decide?
say, listen, I will say that no, that is why you fix the price. But just like how you have a fixed price for rice or for beans, a control price, you control those items of inputs. We will identify, this is just my suggestion.
Yeah.
Please, I
You
don't want
identify a
anybody.
list.
I'm not talking for the government. I'm just listening
But
to the news
we're trying
item
to look at it objectively,
and,
yeah.
and say
And say
how clumsy that would
Would
be.
be.
So let's find a much more smoother way.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Mr. Troy.
Yes, sir.
morning.
Good morning.
I like the topic we talk about price control. I think that's all right. But they have this one Bangladesh guy we got at this store, and everybody in the ability to sell the plastic bottle cork and Sprite, the least small one, for $2.25. This guy is selling with $2.50, and he say nobody can tell him what to sell for, and everybody is at $2.25 piece $2.50. That they can't check for that.
Well, and soft drink, that wouldn't be one
No,
of the item I
that
put.
wouldn't be on the list.
That wouldn't be an item that I want control. It's a free market. I would leave that to the free market for the simple reason is that if I don't drink Coke, that won't impact my livelihood.
At one time, Bona have a placard where show that the price is $2.25, and the small one is $1.25. But now this guy, he said he sell me $2.50 because he have to pay a big rent and thing. And
Oh,
he needs to make more money.
well, that's an argument that he will make for free
Yeah.
for free market.
You just don't buy from him. That's all.
That's why the invisible hand in economics they talk about the invisible hand, meaning that the market will dictate the price.
Yeah.
You know, so when nobody buys from him, he will have to lower his price. That's generally what happens. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, caller. Yeah, that.
But
Coke or soft drink wouldn't be
No,
on
no.
my list.
No.
No alcohol.
Yeah. No, they
that
won't
wouldn't
be
be
on
on
the-
the
no,
list.
they won't be on the list.
That would be on the list.
But-
And that shouldn't
but-
be in the community store either. if that idea would fly.
let's look at the practicality. That's what you're looking at. This could get a little more complicated and clumsy
You
if you
can't.
start doing it.
Very much so because
Look at deodorant. Let's take deodorant for instance. Deodorant is a high tax item. It's considered
It's
a
a
luxury item, right? Which it shouldn't be. You know, we know that, common sense. But it benefits the government to tax it.
it's not in there.
Okay. So you have, I would think, at least 4 or 5 different brands of deodorant.
We'll
on
pick
the shelf.
one.
You pick one, exactly.
pick one.
You pick one.
Yeah, yes. This is
You pick one.
because this is a control mechanism for now. Because if I set up the community store will
won't
decide
have all
what
the
it carries
brands.
as
Exactly,
well.
exactly.
So 6 or 1/2 a dozen of the same.
Right.
So we pick one that
We
we
pick-
consider to be the most generic or the most widely used, if that is the case.
That's right.
And that is going to be the one that we're going to focus on.
But then you come to me and you say, okay, you're going to sell this deodorant, which is now $7.95. Say, you have to sell it for $6.50.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
you have to sell it
yeah,
for $6.50,
Yes.
which affects my profit.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. When you sell in volume, you could handle a lower profit.
Yes.
But if I have only Pilinki store, you know, with more overhead, drawing it close, I may stop selling that product.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That is that
That's
that
the idea.
is the invisible hand.
Yes, right.
Yes. If I don't buy your Coke,
That's right.
then you have to lower your price, or you will have to stop
I will
selling
say,
Coke.
okay, I won't sell that.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Let the bigger stores sell it.
Yes, that's fine.
Oops. Okay.
I might need to carry it even as a big store, because that might be the one thing that draws somebody in, that makes them pick up 5 or 10 more other
But you
things that
see-
is not controlled.
But, okay, yeah, but that is not the objective of this exercise.
Well, the objective
Exercise.
is to create a reduction,
A reduction.
In the price. So if
So
somebody
in
decides,
in a supermarket, the supermarket could have a shelf space just for that, for these items.
well, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
If they want to create their own community shelf, if they're big enough to be able to isolate that in terms of the control items, then kudos to the consumer. They
Right.
go to that shelf and they empty that shelf and you keep it stocked. But they still will be making a profit. It's not like they're going to be losing. The point is that we are controlling it to a way that we could help during this issue of unaffordability.
You mentioned deodorant. Then you're starting about soap, shampoo,
Yeah.
toothpaste,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
instance.
Yes.
Well, let's go back to food.
Yes.
You know, most food is already controlled. Most of it.
Most of the
Yeah,
survival
rice,
items.
sugar.
That's
you
why I
know.
said
However,
the list will not
tea
grow.
isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Coffee isn't. These will have to be added.
That's why I'm
tea,
saying
coffee,
you could
like that.
You could expand the list a little bit to make the life that somebody lives to be balanced. That's all you're doing. You're not creating anything exorbitant. We're not going to get in there with all the various cereals and all of that. This is one thing, Kellogg cornflakes and that's it. We're not going
that's
into
it.
Fruit Loops and
Granted, I agree with that. Another area that you have to notice is that we supposedly pay less duties when we import from the Caribbean.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the whole.
If you notice now on the shelves, one time, like say laundry detergent, which would have to be added, laundry detergent, soap powder, things like that. If you notice the shelf now, we are importing several items now from the Caribbean,
Okay.
which the prices are a little less than the brand names, the big brand names. You got dishwashing liquid, you have hand soap that you can buy, and the price comparably is lower.
Okay.
I do a lot of shopping. I like it.
I don't.
I relax.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. I
you
can't
know,
see that. I can't see that.
I meet most of my friends and fans in the supermarket.
Okay. I can't see that. My wife does that.
In
But
fact, one of the supermarkets I go to, a couple of us meet every Friday, and we say out loud, I think we have shares in this place.
Oh, why?
Yeah, I mean,
well, you should make
we
sure when
should, yeah.
dividends is given wrong, you get your monk.
Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
We just want to make note, make some people were supposed to take care of we. Remember that how this price gouging and things all around the country, but mainly in a Placentia. We need some help, man.
Well, that's
Right?
exactly
we
what
we really need some help.
well,
And
that's
if it
what
look
we're
like
talking
that's
about. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Yes, I understand that. But I'm saying down here in Placentia, no, we really need some help.
Okay. Thanks, caller.
The invisible hand at work.
Yes. And that is where I am.
But you see, price. If each business, depending on the size of your business, and you know that, you that's how you mark up your product. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Try good morning.
Yes,
Morning.
morning.
The problem is also the way they tax people in this country. Another one of the big problem, we are paying too much tax. You tax it to debt, boss. Everything, the tax people. If you raise my electricity, what do you think will happen to the business? They have to pay more. And when they pay more, who pay? The consumers, because they want to raise to make up. Custom, the same thing. Whether they bring in goods, the taxes are too high. So you could control it, like you said, try from the time you enter. The government got control it. Then could ease the tax from people, boss, and businesses. Then you could force business to sell at a certain price because you they get a break. So they should. But you the tax people to death. And this is how they catch you in the country. You could help with. You could definitely help the people. But you are taxing the businesses and people to death. What's with the hotel association? You're going to raise tax money again. What do you think will happen? You have to ease up on the way you're taxing people, businesses in this country. You have to really make it a priority. But make we look at this. I want to touch on the national bus company try.
Okay.
Because Mr. Zabani called in all the time. I kudos to him.
Okay.
He say they don't want to use for we money. They want to get their own money. They are borrowed somewhere from a bank or something. That's the way he say I could pay it back. But you see what they have now? That for we money they are used. So this company, that for we. They are be for, if they are used for we money, they are be for we. So you also have to subsidize if they use for we money. So it could help the commuters where they use this. For you system, or for you company, can I like do that, try. So you know how BTL and all of them set up. They're like private company. That's the way, but they set it up like a private. They got boards set up, and then they run for we company, and they trail we. And after we money, develop this company. So I want to call him, because he like said, you know, I use no money for the people. They want to use their own money. They want to borrow money from some bank and thing and set this up.
The people still have
So
to pay.
remember now.
Yeah.
Remember that the we money they will use to set up this company. So yeah, be for we.
Okay.
So I just want to put that in perspective.
Thanks, caller. Thanks. Two quick things. He talks about the issue of taxation at point of entry. And like I said, it's to look at this thing from a holistic standpoint, because it doesn't matter, Ernesto, what you do with the profit. If you don't control the end price,
right.
No matter how low the duty is, I'm going to keep the price high anyway because my margin is just
you can
greater.
compromise with the business. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to change the topic a little bit and then I get back to the topic where you guys are dealing with. The killing of these lot of fishes, I think in the West, right?
River Valley.
I think it's the kin farmers from Guatemala, I think, if I'm not making a mistake. Correct me. Everybody know, or these guys who take these tests know, that the chemical, when the guys use, they kill these fish and crocodile and all animals. And that's a bad thing to do now. But because these guys have a lot of money, they take advantage, and the government not say nothing. If there is somebody else, a small man out there, they may have shut down the business and charge a lot of money. But because these guys have money, and that's why our country is like this. People have money, take advantage of the poor people. You guys could talk a lot about this price to a drop and this price. They were trying to do it. You know what happened? Unless the government decides that, you know what, the fuel, we have dropped that no care what, for 2 years, so that the people could lift their head out of water, brother. Because in our work otherwise. For this government get in, and I don't call them government by government, I call them people they do foolishness. They never drop the gas at $10. Why? They keep the people poor. That's the easiest way to keep. They believe them people poor, brother. Right? And when you control the gas, you control everything. You know, you weaken the people. And once the people get weak, they get desperate. You could do anything. And that's why this government, they take advantage and it will continue. Why? Because we just want to we sell for too little, brother. We need to make the government know that we want the deduction of things now, not tomorrow.
Okay.
You understand me?
All right.
We are a small country, very small country. We should be better than that. But the government, they pull the pocket, the thief, then they get promotion when they thief. Right? Promotion, you know, UDP, you get fired. You know, this government, you know, you get promoted. That's our problem. And you know what change? Unless we, the people, come up together, join shoulder to shoulder, and then things change. But we divide ourselves too much, and we are big, just like Haiti. Remember what I tell you now, guys, because we sell for little.
Thank you. All right, caller. Thanks. Yeah, I was saying that the issue here is that we have to look at the whole process holistically, because one of the first things we do, we dive back to the whole issue of the politics side, and then we get distorted in the discussion.
Yeah.
And we don't find a solution, because then people start to take their lanes. Because across the spectrum, we are split almost down the middle in terms of ideology. So I'm not trying to mask that in any way, shape, or form. However, that can certainly not allow you to get to a solution.
That's right.
So I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that. The fundamental issue here is what is going to be the best economical avenue we can travel. Because at the end of the day, the same service you want the government to provide you, he has to pay for, and you only use tax dollars for that. So there is no reducing. If government reduced 10 cents or 5 cents off of every gallon of gas, that doesn't have much impact per gallon at the pump. But it hurt government who, when in volume, that's $5 million or so that they are giving up, maybe annually or so. Because it's 5 million gallons we use maybe per month, for argument's sake, at 5 cents. That's a huge sum of money government is giving up. However, you at the pump, even though government lowers that tax by 5 cents or 10 cents, you're not excited about that,
No.
because that means nothing to you
see,
technically.
that's another thing too.
And so we have to look at this thing holistically. And I blame all our leaders, people who are versed in economics, people who understand, because they get caught up in the noise too. They get caught up and they switch the conversation instead of they stick with their professional outlook. And so we could help people.
They get managed by politics and
exactly.
how many
And
votes
I
they
am
get
always
and
upset
that.
with the professional people, because I said, where are you when we have this discussion one-on-one? They concur, you know. They understand. But yet when they get an opportunity to make matters, because they don't want to feel that they will be boxed into a hole, like me, I don't care. You could call me and put me in any box you want. I have passed that at this stage of my life. I am about doing the right thing. And so I will have the right discussion.
And doing the right thing will always hurt somebody.
Exactly. So I urge everybody, I'm not going to run down your rabbit hole, because that is where seem to be the most popular thing. Sorry. We're going to be where I consider to be the most professional and right thing to do. And when we are having these discussions, this is about setting people's minds right. Not get in this warped way of how we always want to.
And we will always get, or should get, the best result, but you're not going to please everybody. And you're not going to be favorable for everybody. Never, nothing is perfect. It's a minute after 7. We'll take a break. We'll be back. 5 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is the morning show with Ernesto and Troy on this Monday morning. And we do have this September celebrations coming on to us, and we're getting into the mood. But of course, life continues. And, you know, we get up every day, and some of us have to struggle more than others. And it always comes down to, you know, how far you can stretch your dollar. And what has happened to
This
to the
weekend
dollar?
should be another GST free weekend for back to school.
This one, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
this
the 29th,
weekend
it-
is the next one coming up. You know, in the news, you had some conventions that took place. If we switch the topic a little bit, and maybe the economic things, discussion is a little bit boring. Well, some people like to
No, but
find
I think-
politics as
I
an
think this whole
entertainment, right?
issue about the
Politics.
community stores is something that it's not going to be manna out of heaven. I mean, it just won't fall and make everything.
And again, it will
don't work-
require
doesn't
tax
work like that.
dollars.
It won't work
because,
like that.
because in economics 101, there's no free lunch.
No.
There's no free lunch, and somebody has to pay for
And
it.
again, some of us, and I think a lot of people, when they say, I need prices drop, they are thinking about 2-3 years ago. That's never going to happen. We'll never get prices back. If they go, they'll change maybe $1, not even $1.
Well, I wouldn't want to speculate on any reduction.
It's not going to go. It's not going to
Yeah.
go
What,
much.
what we have to do is to create control mechanism right now because that's the only component. Because if we leave it up to the Adam Smith version, the invisible hand, it's going to be that runaway train that we are seeing right now occurring. So we have to be able to, the state have to come in and apply a little bit of socialism.
Right.
You know, have to come in because we are a mixed economy. We are more capital based than socialism. But
the size
socialism
of
is
our country and the
NHI,
size of our
free
market,
healthcare.
yeah.
Those things are part of the socialist
Socialistic
mentality. So we cannot create a sort of mixed economy so that the state, the grocery bag.
It's not ringing anymore.
The grocery bag is one way to offset the issue of there's one way to offset the issue of cost of living. Like these grocery bags, pantry that the government give out from time to time to some of the indigent community. But the long and short of it, Ernesto, is that yes, for the wider group of people who are feeling the crunch, especially the middle class who are teetering on falling out of that class, you have to find a workable way because obviously there's no end in sight as far as the war is concerned. And so that issue of fuel will continue to plague us for some time. And so we have to find mechanism within the confines that we operate in to help. You know, and if we don't do that.
But that help has to be identifiable. It has to be seen that is the better way to go. Now, you know that you mentioned the middle class, and you have those who you would call indigent, who need this kind of help. You won't have any control on that either. The rich could go and buy from the store.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody can buy from it.
Because we don't have that. We don't have the way. We don't have the class system.
Right.
In Belize.
And this is one, I think, one of the what occurred in Mexico with their ISME, the stores. Yeah. Anybody could.
Well,
could buy
once
from
you had your card,
yeah.
you could. And
had
we
to be
were
identified.
able to go from time as Belizeans as well. We were
Yes,
able
to buy
to go there as well, and then the price was a little bit different though. Was a bit different. You know, right now, if you go, say, to Sam's in Chedomale, I say, you want to pay credit card or cash?
Cash.
And if you're paying with credit card, the price is higher. If you're paying with cash, it's lower. So there's a distinction.
We're not getting the calls through. I don't know why.
So if you go to buy, when you went to buy at these IMSS store, if you didn't present your social security card for Mexico, then your price was this. So they still make a money then. They still made money. They still made the sale.
Our phone is giving us some problems, folks, where the calls are not coming through. Okay.
Let's leave that for the time being,
Yeah.
though, so that we could continue the conversation. I just wanted to make the point on the political scene that the conventions are for the People's United Party took place yesterday in Benque.
And in Santa Elena, San Ignacio.
They had their convention for the San Ignacio, Santa Elena had the convention for the councillors, and the mayor was endorsed. A gentleman by the name of Aaron Mai, who is a sitting councillor,
Yeah.
and then in Benque, I think the incumbent one, Jorge Rosales, were very close margins. Somebody, I saw the scores by 9 votes. Nine votes he won by. So that was very, very close for the mayoral race.
Yeah.
So Benque is now set for the People's United Party. In other news, as it relates to the opposition, the United Democratic Party, I see floating around that their campaign manager has resigned, as well as their public relation manager as well. So I don't know how that does bode well for them, or what's the circumstance. Again, for the democracy to be very, very viable, you have to have a very good opposition. I always worry for the opposition, who only have 5, and I see empty chairs.
Yeah, like everybody.
Like they just don't care. Hugo Pat tend to not want to show up. I pick on him because his chair always empty. So it shows to me that there's still no unity within the United Democratic Party, and I'm saying, you all need to help us in the sense of democracy requires you, because you're being paid, to be the opposition and to be able to point out. I won't take anything away from their presentation. They could be better, they could be more prepared, but I guess size do affect your energy, right? But if you had everybody there, you
show some cohesion, some unity, and that's what
so I'm worried about that empty chair there that I see all the time. He goes in and out kind of thing, and we know last time they were there, the representative for Queen Square never showed up at any house meeting. Never showed up. And I'm saying that's what you were paid to do. You're paid to show up and represent the people in the House of Representatives. You run to be a representative.
That's your job? That's what you're doing?
You're nothing else. And I think Honorable Abelardo Mai made the point when they asked him the question on Friday as well, because he finally attended now, says he's feeling much better because he was out on sick leave. He said, that's what my first thing, the reason I'm here is as a representative.
I need to work.
You're not elected as a minister or anything else. You're elected as a representative.
Job,
yes, that's
what you said.
That's what you voted for.
Yeah.
Because it requires 16 of you all of one side to be able to form government.
Right.
If it's not 16 ministers, it's 16 representatives. And so I'm making that point.
I think we confuse that,
Huh?
We still confuse that.
Well,
so
being
a minister as opposed to being a representative, you think you become a minister the minute you're elected, all that.
Most of the time you get in trouble because you're a bad minister, not a bad representative. You might be a good representative, but you do so much unforced errors while you're a minister that you get in trouble.
Explain to me what happened with Santa Elena and having no candidates, and in San Ignacio.
Who?
The
UDP?
No, the PUPs.
The PUP had them.
What's this I'm hearing about Santa Elena?
Santa Elena?
Yeah.
But Santa Elena and San Ignacio goes
together. Yeah.
Yeah. One municipality.
Apparently within there, I was.
Oh, meaning nobody reside in Santa Elena.
Right.
But I thought Aaron Mai reside in Santa Elena. I might stand corrected. Is that what you mean? Like none of the persons who are on the PUP slate are residing in Santa Elena? I never heard that, but I thought somebody had mentioned to me some time ago, I think the mayoral candidate reside in Santa Elena.
Which again, interestingly enough, the incumbent there is running a 5th term. The mayor.
Yes, Earl Trapp, yes, running.
Which is an interesting.
Yes. And he was councillor before, he was councillor before mayor.
And of course, obviously, the party in power wants to take over
Well,
that, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, somebody told me on Friday that, you know, if the UDP kind of loses San Ignacio, Santa Elena, the whole leadership of the party should just disintegrate, move
But
on.
I suspect he is not being affected by the parties. He seems to be running on his own. I mean, he's a UDP, but he seems to be running on his own recognizance, more or less.
Yeah.
Not being washed over or affected much by
he
what's happening in
doesn't
the party.
really seem
The
to
tongue
be.
just seems to like him.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be engaged with the leadership of the party any at all.
Well, he had a few comments the other day when the party was forming the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he reiterated his UDP-ness.
Yeah, I guess that's why you had to reiterate it, because you probably don't really have much connection with it. So you kind of have to kind of remind people, yeah, it's still attached to these.
Because
group.
he should be an influential person within the leadership
He
of
should
the
be an
party.
influential
He's the
voice
only one that's
of unity,
Yeah.
if needs be.
To do that,
because
yeah.
again, we have to be able to call out these things. Not that gives me any pleasure, and I know that most time political parties don't want you to talk about their inadequacies.
at least not air them in public.
You know, but for me is that, like I pointed out earlier, I don't care. Let's have the conversation across the board. It's not much of my forte, but politics seem to be the biggest business in this town, in this country. And so because of that, you kind of can't ignore it. Everybody goes there. That's the corner that you run to. You know, you know, if the conversation gets too noisy, somebody says, text me over the weekend that, you know, the utilities, BWS and BTL and BEL shouldn't be trying to collect their capital expenditure through the rates that they charge. And I pointed out to them, they can't even collect the cost of power. Right, because the cost of power is even more than what they're purchasing it at. They can't charge it on the consumer because it would be too exorbitant, much less to try to collect back for expansion and maintenance. Then, so you find out that argument get watered down. So you then say, but then they go cut all the ways in the ministry, and so you go straight to the political point after when you lose the economic argument. Then you just hollow out some political thing to kind of cover up, and then to say that that is how every company will operate. You will try to build in your recovery costs, because in everything there is either the cost of financing that you have to put in and consider in your pricing, along with your acquisition of the actual product. So even if it's an item on the shelf, if you got overdraft that's running, you have to factor in the percentage in that as well.
But the first thing they call it trim the fat. The first thing you do is try to trim the fat. That brings you to another conversation with public finance and public spending. You see, at the end of the day, we don't believe or have confidence in that our public funds have been spent wisely over the years. We figure that is a.
But you could figure out anything you want.
But it's too obvious that something is wrong there.
But you can't correct it.
You can't come back and tell me.
You can't correct it. You can't correct it because at the end of the day, we have seen where the democracy that we operate under, this structure, we keep shifting. Well, whether it's different parties or not, we have the same cry. Have we not heard the same thing for the last 45 years?
45 years, yeah. That's why I said decades of.
So, and you will hear it for the next
skepticism.
100, you will hear it. Because that's, once you continue under a system, there's always going to be somebody that you will want to blame. Because that's a blame game. Even if it's a dictatorship, you will blame the dictator for having too much wealth, whatever it is. So it doesn't matter which system you use.
So the people, that's how the people react.
So
I mean, and they treat it in different
and that
ways.
is why the Standard & Poor has said that the government has this supermajority and has not used it and wielded it in a way to be able to be much more impactful. You see, somebody has to bell the cat.
the ordinary citizen, is having issues balancing his budget because his wages or his earnings are barely keeping up with the cost of living. You wake up in the morning and hear news that millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars have been misappropriated over the years in government. The first reaction you have is, hold on, that would have made my life better if that money was
But remember now,
misappropriated.
you say again, people will have this issue with this kind of discussion. Not because I say it, that's so. Not
Well, the
because I
people-
say it. But if you
the-
want
the
to believe
people-
perception, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I keep saying, let's deal with the facts. If we have the facts to deal with,
How do you change the fact from fiction?
Well-
Or fiction from fact?
well, if you want to continue to live in a fictional scenario, I can tell you the sky is yellow, and you want to believe that, and not believe, you want to believe me or your lying
so
eyes.
at this point in time,
So I always say, let's
All-
stick with
all
what I
this-
can control and what I know for a fact.
well, as a people, the only way you can control
What-
it is by
what I know for a
voting in
fact-
the people who you think you can trust.
What I know for a fact is when I go to the store, I have difficulty buying all
Right.
the things that I want.
Right.
So I'm saying to the government, who I think the state who have control, listen to me. You have an idea of community stores. I'm saying maybe that is a little bit too clumsy and hard to implement. Maybe you could find a much more quicker solution
Yeah.
using the same idea. I'm dealing with something that is more pragmatic and workable. I don't want to get into a lot of fictional things.
How do you respond to many who believe, the government could do better, man? They could drop the price. Maybe
Is that what I'm saying?
Is
Is that what I'm saying? I'm saying you could come up with a solution to alleviate, cap, whatever it is. You have to do something that is draconian, something that is heavy-handed. It can't be anything that is left up to chance, because persons are going to beat the system.
Do you believe that the government can reduce its tax income even less,
Well,
even more,
well,
and help the people?
As far as I'm
We're
concerned,
hearing that the government right now is scraping the point where they can't do much more when it comes to that. They've reduced enough.
well, you could cut.
Hello,
goods-
caller.
goods
Good
and
morning. You're on the
services.
air.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I was listening to the House meeting, and Mark Chan was doing a very nice job.
Who?
As a matter of fact, it seems that he is
Mark
the
Chan.
person that really talks reality in the House. He was talking basically about borrowing money without proper planning how it will be spent. I mean, that's unwise. That was a sensible topic or a sensible way to discuss. And they talk about him for repeating and repeating. But I thought in the House it was total repetition. From the time my child, I hear loan repetition in the House. For example, you hear Madam, whatever, over and over. It's total repetition. Some people talk for 3-4 hours. How can you talk for 3 or 4 hours if you are not repeating? How much knowledge you can pass in 3 hours? You'll run out of knowledge. It's just repetition. Well, anyway,
Okay.
he was doing a good job. And the Minister of Education get up after him and try to talk him down. In other words, he was hitting the messenger, not the message. And he talked about for 10 minutes. And reality, he didn't say a word. He talked for about 10 minutes, and he didn't say a word. He is the Minister of Education. He should be doing better than that. Then Tracy was talking about education in the primary school and how these primary school and preschool you are using the parents and the children and whatnot.
And that was a very good topic that was very important. To go to primary school or whatever it is, all kind of charges and all kind of things you have to do. That not have to happen. I was a teacher and I see what used to happen in school. Somebody should be responsible for the money that you collect in primary school. You paying, I remember the school that I was, a child used to pay $5 for registration. And I wanted to keep it there. And as I move out from that school, that registration started moving up $25 and right up towards, and no money come back to the children and the parents. The government, and I had insisted that the primary school has a treasurer other than the principal. All those monies are run by one person, the principal. Primary school and all places that interfere or have money or use money or collect money should have a treasurer that is responsible to answer to the children and to the parents and to the management and to the education department. Those things need to be noticed.
Okay.
The schools are robbing the children and the parents and overcharging them. And where is that money going? Sometimes those money probably end up at the casino. Thank you.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
thanks. You see, and that's where the conversation gone awry, because we're having a discussion about the issue of fees, but then we distort the conversation and we lost the facts to solve the issue, because we get into other we put a lot of other life into that thing by now we use word like rob. Rob, that's a crime. We use word like robbing. We misuse the money. We gone to casino, and I'm saying you have no evidence of that, no proof of
I
that.
have to plead ignorance. Exactly what was he referring to?
He was talking about those fees that primary schools were charging,
Yeah.
and he felt that it's too exorbitant and that they use the money. They're robbing.
Oh,
it's robbery.
The school is
And misusing the money, they're going to casino and so. But I'm saying, fine, if you want to talk about school fees being exorbitant, let's focus there. Let's look at the items that they are charging for and whether or not that is necessary, accounted for, and how we go about account for it. Let that conversation be there. So when you move it there, right away the other person picks up at where you left off, and we never get back to solving the problem.
Well, like I always said earlier,
and if I have to be
we
the
get
lone
emotionally
voice,
involved in
if
our
I have to be that
discussions.
lone voice to bring you back, if I have to be that rudder to bring you back, that's what I'm going to continue to do. I won't go down
that's one of our weaknesses.
that stream that you want to go.
Whenever a serious conversation starts, we never want to take it to its objective finish.
No.
We somewhere along the way we take it and we run according to how emotionally we take it, who we believe in, who we don't like.
We start to use words like the robbing. It's like that robbing has a distinct criminal connotation to that. They take it to the casino. So right away you start to get personal with people. Because the next thing, if I left him longer, if he stays longer.
Who collect those fees? The principal, right?
If he stays longer, he'll tell me that the principal. And if he stays longer, he'll call a name. And you see how we gone down a data road for no reason at all, and we didn't solve the problem. Now, if you want to say the government has a responsibility to investigate all of those fees that are increasing the cost. When the government says that education is free, but then you have all of these additional fees that
charged by the
fee,
school.
this fee, that fee, then let's investigate those, whether those are genuine, whether they're uncalled for or necessary. So let's have that discussion. Let's have an investigation.
But you see, this is exactly where...
And that is where we should be pushing the authorities to go.
Your conversation is cool, is good, right. But we never reach that point. So what do you create with the persons who are asking or talking? They end up exactly with the conversations we have. Because they don't believe you. They don't trust the system. They've been bitten so many times, shy. So you end up with these conversations because those who don't take the conversation or the active or solve the problem to the best benefit of everyone or the majority. 7:30, we'll take a break. and we'll be back with.
The country was free from any rainfall activity last night through to early this morning. Mainly fair and warm weather conditions prevail. The 24-hour forecast: sunny with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated, with a few more likely over the south late tonight. The maximum temperatures for today will reach 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, will be a bit hotter inland, reaching to around 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and a little cooler up in the hills, around 82 degrees Fahrenheit. The low temperatures for tonight will drop to around 81 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 inland, and 68 up in the hills. The winds will be from the east-northeast at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea conditions will be light chop. A high tide will occur this morning at 3 minutes after 7, followed by a low tide this afternoon at 2:50, another high tide tonight at 8:47, and another low tide early tomorrow morning at 1:33. The sun rose early this morning at 5:37 and will set this evening at 6:12. The moon will rise this evening at 4 o'clock and will set early tomorrow morning at 3:19. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night: skies will be partly cloudy to cloudy. A few showers and isolated thunderstorms are possible over the south Tuesday morning and Tuesday night. Elsewhere, shower activity will be isolated. In the tropical weather outlook, showers and thunderstorms associated with an area of low pressure are located a few hundred miles southeast of Bermuda. Further development of this low is possible and currently has a medium chance of becoming a short-lived tropical cyclone during the next couple of days. This system poses no threat to Belize. Elsewhere, no tropical cyclone formation is expected over the next 48 hours. For a review of our forecast and other products, please visit our website at nms.gov.bz. Our next forecast comes out at 12 p.m. this afternoon. With that, we end this morning's forecast from the Belize National Met Service.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the morning show on this Monday morning. I'm Ernesto with Ms. Troy, and we have some guests in studio. We have the president of the Public Service Union with us, Mr. Dean Flowers, and his vice president in the person of Anissa Perdomo. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
How are you?
Good morning. It's Monday.
Yes, it's a Monday.
Monday,
blessed
Monday,
Monday too.
Monday.
And obviously the union was, Monday usually they are slow starting day. That don't work with the union.
Oh, no.
It's not a Monday. It doesn't work like that then.
Kickstart.
In fact, they relax on Sunday, understand?
No.
All every day.
Or Monday to Sunday, always
Monday to Sunday.
engaged.
All right. Welcome to the studio.
So,
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I said, Dean, good while. The last time I saw him, I want to sit down on my table and all. I tell him, Dean, why you not there on my
We'll
table?
take this public forum now for say that.
Good morning, my brother.
I was late.
You know, I every time I deal with the union, I always feel at home with them because that's
Have you
how
ever
I
been a
started.
union member?
What? Yes, too much.
Okay,
I
too
was
much.
explaining just now how I
What with
was
this?
president of Trade Union Congress or Communication Workers Union. So I always feel a real affinity, and I could empathize a lot with the unions, and the plights of workers throughout all of these things that we talk about safety.
But
and all
speaking of
that.
unions, and before we bring it to home,
Becoming irrelevant. I think they are. Somebody once tell me that one necessary evil.
Yeah.
But I don't think that in the history of mankind, unions have represented such evil. I think the unions play a very important role to ensure that workers work in dignity, live in dignity, receive fair pay for fair work, and that they get an opportunity to negotiate and bargain to share in the success of businesses, whether it's public or private.
that's the objective, and that's what they're supposed to do. Of course, they get unions worldwide, get tangled sometimes with governments and get led by, But looking at the positive side,
I would say more
in the-
employer than government because
Yeah.
the unions are not only restricted to representing
yeah.
people within the government.
No, I mean, but
in their case, it might be right now, but in general, it's
In
employers.
the U.S., the auto
Teams- the
workers
Teamsters.
created a wave in the U.S. just about a year ago.
Yes.
And before that, you had the movie writers' unions and so on.
Remember
And
the
in Europe
famous
as
Jimmy
well.
Hoffa? Jimmy Hoffa was a
That's
really
right.
union leader.
That's
he was
right.
representing the waterfront workers.
Yeah, and then in the UK, doctors not getting enough pay.
Yeah,
they
that was a
came up,
huge one. That was a huge one.
But at some point, though, unions may demand, and those they're demanding from will say, "I can't give you what you want," and this is where it gets a little antsy. But let's bring it to home.
Well,
What's it mean?
that's why there's a process you go through. It's negotiation. It's a discussion and dialogue to try to find that sort of amicable position. Sometimes not necessarily a middle ground,
Yeah.
but there's a level of compromise in trying to
Yeah.
reach the same point. But yeah, like Ernesto said, we bring it to home. One of the pressing issues that came up in the House sitting on Friday, and I think it's something that we spoke about some time ago. Dean, when he was just in the startup stage, the whole issue of the Semi-Autonomous Revenue Authority, i.e. SARA, or basically the Belize Tax Services, something that your deputy will be very familiar with.
Recently retired from that department.
Yes.
Maybe
But I'm
explain
glad that
to us-
you mentioned certain words like negotiation and consultation, because those are very important words when we're dealing with anything that's on the table for PSU. And of course, this came about, coming on the air, came about as a result of the cabinet meeting on Friday. And
House meeting.
PSU, the House meeting on Friday, and we wanted to set the record straight, if I can put it
Okay.
like that, as to the timeline of how we got to where we are today, that PSU never neglected their position or put forward a position to the government. This SARA came about from, I believe, in October 2022. And from then, PSU has been very adamant in requesting consultation, information as it relates to what this SARA is about. In 2025, we had several different meetings, and also it went as far as in September in 2025, November 2025, whereby we had a trade dispute. We put out a trade dispute. Of course, when you hear a trade dispute, everybody wants to come to the table at that point. It was not until January of 2026 the government would have said, well, now we need to start to do consultation, and would have come to the table and said, we want to have a project steering committee, which would have included PSU, Ministry of Finance, other stakeholders, chamber. That meeting for that project steering committee, and the only one, I want to make that very clear, the only meeting that we would have had would have been in May, around the 21st, whereby as well PSU and NTUCB would have been invited to the table as representatives for the Congress, and as well for our employees and members at the BTSD.
So hold on, so you're saying from 2022, not until May, you had a really relevant meeting?
Yes, correct.
Where they would start answering your...
So I'll talk about that
questions.
meeting, and then Dean can go more into it. So at the meeting in May, like I said, we had around the table all reps, NTUCB reps, Ministry of Finance, Labor, Attorney General, and of course the management team from BTSD. At that meeting, we did not get the draft legislation bill. We were not aware of it. Of course, it was already out, and at that meeting, they would have presented that bill to us. And that is where some of the red flags came up in that meeting particular.
Okay.
Troy, nobody could have answered us. We got a PowerPoint presentation from the legal personnel. Of course, we're going to ask questions about the bill itself. We couldn't get no definitive answer, not one answer. And so it led to, of course, well, we would need to look at the bill, meet with our members, and of course we did extensive membership meeting with that department and the wider membership of the Public Service Union, because we need to make it clear this might affect the members in that department as it relates to security and tenureship of their of their jobs. But at the same time, to the wider public, it will come as, and Brother Dean will go more into the bill, how it will affect the wider public. So at that meeting, we would have given a deadline of 30 days to get a synopsis of why we want a SARA. And I have to touch on the amalgamation of the two departments. Because if you would remember, the amalgamation would have come together to increase revenue. That would have been the main focus of the amalgamation. So now we come to SARA. What's the purpose of the SARA?
And the amalgamation was then the tax services and
GST.
GST.
So, and that went through its own roller coaster of growing pains, of cross-training and
But let's go back to that. Now that we're there, that has passed.
Yes.
Was that successful?
Well, we
as
will
far
know.
as the union was concerned?
And this is and these are the questions that we're asking. You are going to bring a SARA on board. It would mean, I understand the staff we have a staff of 236 presently at the BTSD. The SARA would encompass over 400 employees. Start to think, increase in salary, increase in the structure of where you're going to put all these
but
people.
Hold on. From my memory serves me, when they did the amalgamation of GST and the tax department,
236.
one of the reasons was to make it more efficient and cut down the staff.
And it did because some people
Yeah,
moved
they
out,
said they were. Yeah, they were.
and some people
They were
stayed,
doubling
but-
up on the responsibilities.
Exactly. So, and I'm glad that you're bringing it up and understanding that was the reason for the amalgamation. Efficiency, increase of revenue. Now the SARA. Some of the things that they're putting out is probably the same. Increase of revenue. So are you saying it was a failure? That didn't work? So these are the questions that we're asking.
From somebody who's was in that belly of the beast, what you felt was some of the deficiencies that existed, maybe assuming that you want to move to something different, meaning that I think it's not working that way. Did you feel any sort of significant difference?
I can honestly say, as it relates to the amalgamation, there was no cross-training.
Okay.
And so it definitely would have caused a ripple effect as it relates to understanding income tax and GST.
Okay.
I came from income tax.
Yeah.
So I had to adapt myself. I didn't get any cross-training
Okay.
of that in that area to say, I took the initiative and I wanted to understand what GST was about. So it was deficient in that area. As it relates to the audit, we moved to a risk-based audit system right now. Did we leave out some areas that could have touched on? Of course. I always say, we always go after the people that are filing. But what about the people that are not filing? And I always would have echoed that sentiment to our management team. What about the people that are not filing? We have so many new businesses that are left out. And it's fair. It's fair pay. If you're doing a business, you should pay. But I want to get back to why we're here as it relates to the SARA. So July 7, because I want these days to stick out to the, especially because of the comment of we neglected to do a presentation. July 7th, we got a summary synopsis of why SARA would have come about. So then at that point, in the minutes from May 21st, the government in their minutes would have said that after we get the summary report, after 30 days, then they would expect feedback from us. I believe we presented our paper August 10th. Yes, we sent in, and the president can allude, the financial secretary responded that he received in good receipt of our position on the bill. So this is nonsense that we're hearing that PSU did not present anything, and that's why we have to come and set the record straight. Brother Dean, I don't know if you want to add more.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think one of the and every time I come here, I try to bring my Plan Belize Manifesto, which I work on with, because my 2.0 and my 1.0, and I bring the documents, I bring the facts, all right? Now, the Prime Minister misinformed this nation on Friday that we did not participate in the process, that we did not give input, that we would have neglected our responsibility. As the sister has said, since 2022, Troy, I have been here on this couch. I have called into this radio station. I have questioned this SARA. I have questioned what will this thing look like. Why do we need to go there, given that the Belizean Belizean taxpayers are currently paying $20 million to amalgamate those two departments, which if you look at the paper that was presented to Cabinet for them to amalgamate, said exactly what you started off with, efficiency and better tax collection. And now we're at SARA, which is supposed to bring about efficiency and better tax collection. So you mean to tell us that we're on the hook for $20 million, which you did not, you failed to bring about the department that the taxpayers of this country funded. So that is, so we have put together a position paper, Troy. You would have seen that position. Extensive, comprehensive, well-researched to say, show us the data. Show us whereby where are the leakages. Show us the areas that we will improve collection on that is driving this proposal. We have been questioning this for years, from 2022 and more so in 2025, when we put together that position paper. To date, and even in the House, not an iota of data was presented by the Prime Minister as Minister of Finance.
Can I
or
comment on that
anybody
as
on where we are. Let me
Okay.
finish this thought.
Yeah.
I would have also called you and I said, Troy, I heard the DG said that with Sarah they raised me on how much, 100 millions. And we had this conversation, where they get it from? Which new sector? But you want to increase salary. You want to start, or you're proposing, they say may, because they amend the bill a bit to put may start pension plan and all of that. You know, shall may do that. And that is simply to mislead again, because we are in a private on KHMH Baha situation where there is absolutely no plan. You want to pay them better, and you want to increase it by 400. And I said, okay, so you will take tens of millions of dollars to establish this new authority without telling us where you'll get the money from. Money that is currently earmarked for constituency funds, for road infrastructure, for payback with debt servicing, for education, where you want to get the money from. And nobody can tell you where they want to get the money from. If you establish this authority and you push that money there, then what happens to these other social services? And let's get to the bill now. The bill put power in the hands of a single minister who answers to nobody. It put power in a CEO who answers to nobody but the minister. And that is where it gets very dangerous. And I try to figure, why is it that Belizeans are not up in arms with this bill? But I want to make it explicitly clear, and I want to read for the Belizean people a couple things here.
Okay.
On August the 10th, Troy, this email was received from the Honorable Joseph Waite, because I think we could call her Honorable now. Dear Ms. Jones, confirming good receipt of the below email and its attachment. That was our second submission on Sarah, but more so specific to the bill. The House met...
This was after the 30 days? Or
yes. No,
within
this
the
was
30
the
days?
30. This was the 30 days. But what I'm getting at, Troy, is that the House met on the 12th. Mr. Waite received our submission on the 10th.
Okay.
But let's backpedal a little bit. In May, Cabinet issued a release. Let me go to the Cabinet release. Cabinet gave its approval subject to consultations with key stakeholders, including recognized representatives of staff and the business community, for the establishment of a semi-autonomous revenue authority. That is the cabinet release issued in May. So we had a meeting in June based on this. That was the first meeting ever, Troy, even though with the call for consultation, because with the heard rumors, nobody want to tell we nothing. We're not got no bill, we're not got nothing. We go to the meeting in June. We get a PowerPoint presentation, as Sister Anissa had said, where nobody was able to answer a singular question on the PowerPoint presentation where they gave us, because we didn't have the bill, but they gave us a presentation.
What might be?
And the legal counsel said, I never draft the bill, so I can't answer nothing on the bill.
You just presented.
So she just presented it. So we got the bill, I believe, a couple weeks after. And we started doing our consultation with staff. And you all would have probably heard about that. We need to get feedback from staff. We proposed to meet with the staff on the 15th of July to get their feedback and to present the legal opinions that we have gotten. The financial secretary did not allow us to meet with the staff. He said that the 15th of July, close to tax day, and they're not grant no time off. We then said, okay, fine, you don't want us to meet with staff? Well, can you approve for us to meet with staff on the 31st of July? He did not respond. We followed up, no response from him, no response from the Director General. So we said to the staff, we need to make a submission. Let's have a meeting. So we still called the meeting on the 31st at BIM, and the staff from Countrywide came and gave their input. The following, so having received feedback from the staff, we then put together our paper on the bill and we submitted that the following Monday, which the financial secretary acknowledged. The financial secretary then goes to the House meeting, from what I'm being told, and says, nobody made any submission on this bill. But let me get to the House committee, Troy.
The financial secretary went to the House committee
meeting
and
said no submission was received. And so that was not taken into consideration. And now they want to put that pan when in fact we made a submission before the House committee to him, who is supposed to engage us in this consultation process. Bear in mind, a project steering committee was established in June, Troy, in June, which has not met to even look at the bill to have a conversation on the bill. Because remember, they give you a PowerPoint and then they send it weeks after. So what are the purpose of the project steering committee? For us, we haven't even agreed on the terms of reference because that was presented, and when we submit to feedback, we haven't even met. So there has been no consultation on this bill by stakeholders across the table to debate and to lobby, and make we try fix this thing. And then they ram this thing down the Belizean people throat and say, well, you know what, where the staff concerns are concerned, their representative neglected on their responsibility, so we move full flow. It's unacceptable.
So you're handling this from two ends: the staff situation and how the people are going to be affected.
Yes.
But it seems to me like you're taking more responsibility for how the people are going to be affected.
Yes, I have to look after the best interests of Belizeans. Not only the staff, I have to look at the Belizean public, how they will be affected, because ultimately the staff, the part of the Belizean populace. So this time not necessarily want to fight for staff. This time want to fight for Belize.
And we still don't know why then the changes are.
We still don't know why.
Let me tell you, I read the news and the fragments I get, I tend to put pictures together, and you're right. But what I've gathered, the big reason why they want to do this, and I put it in terms, I think more people understand, is government entities, they are not very good at collecting money. We know that for years now. We know that. Governments don't go out and work for their money, they just collect. But even that, they close their offices earlier than everybody else. They have to then spend 45 minutes to count the money and collect every day, while the private sector out there, till the last minute. So I get the impression, from what I've heard on and off, is that...
I agree entirely with you.
Well,
go ahead.
But it's a fact. I mean, you hear the news now, how they mismanage with money. So this thing is huge. Anyway, I get the impression, what I've heard some ministers throw about, is that they realize that under the way government operates, this tax collection, they get desperate, the need for collect taxes. They're not efficient enough collecting money. So they want to kind of privatize it, some kind of private entity attitude to that. And let's face it, the attitude for that in the public service, attitude in the private are they're like night and day. All right. So that's the impression I get.
I want to disagree. I
tell you, we see it, the way the government has been handling the money in private sector, they may go bankrupt long time, or shut down, or fired. So we know that. We already know that. And that's already an image we have in our heads, right? Now you tell me, so I think this, and as somebody from the private sector, I say, that makes maybe some sense. I could get more efficient in collecting money. We don't know from where, and you're right in that sense. But now you tell me that they're going to put this under one minister.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's
But isn't that how it is right now?
Yes.
Isn't it how it's structured right now that it? But I mean, we need to take a break on this.
Yes. Let's take a break. We have to pay with taxes too, right?
Yes. So 4 minutes after 8, we take a break and then we come back and we continue the discussion.
Win the Encore
Welcome back, everybody. It's 10 minutes after 8 o'clock. This is the morning show on Love FM, Love TV. And in the studios, we have with us, of course, Dean Flowers, president of the PSU, and his VP, Anissa Perdomo. You were...
We were just having the discussion in terms of the line of command as one of the discussion that we kind of migrated into.
So we're dealing with the employee situation right now.
Where we are in terms of decision making, because we had made the point earlier, Dean, that the minister, the way how the legislation is set up is that the minister have the authority, but I had made the point that under the present system right now, we do have that same structure in place. So how does it, how is SARA much softer? In terms of the influence of the minister, how is that read in the legislation?
Well, the proposed legislation, of course, seeks to remove the tax services department from under the public service and put it under a semi-autonomous revenue authority. Now, the legislation...
Will it have a board?
Yes,
That's
an advisory board.
Okay.
An advisory board, not a management board. And the legislation says to the board, you are only here to provide advice. You will not meddle in anything that has to do here. It doesn't matter how we run this organization, we could take your advice if we want. The legislation says, and I will point out some key aspects of the legislation. Right? Under Section 11.1, the minister appoints the CEO. Under Section 13.2, the minister removed the CEO. Under Section 25.1, he appoints the board, the Minister of Finance. He does that. He then says to the board, you cannot involve yourself in HR matters, in operations matters, in management matters. You're not here to do any of that. That is done by the CEO. The bill then says to the CEO, you, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, you have the authority to appoint your management team. You are determine who becomes your management team. And you have the authority to remove those members of your management team. It then says that from that management team, you will have an HR chair. And that HR chair decides who is employed in SARA and who is dismissed from SARA. It says to the CEO, you answer to nobody other than the minister. Only the minister, and the minister shall instruct. This is what the legislation said. The legislation said, any instructions given to the CEO by the minister shall be effected. So the minister...
So how that change from now?
Well, right now, at least we have the commission who could actually intervene if there is any errors or any mismanagement happening within the tax services department. You're now putting that sole authority in the hands of two people, and the minute staff not carry out certain instructions that might not be in the best interest of a taxpayer or of the organization itself, they can be removed without question. There is no provision in here for due process, nothing there in here. The language of this legislation is dangerous, but I am concerned about the political influence. Because as this legislation is read, the Minister of Finance could determine that he want to use a power to come after individual taxpayers. And guess what? Nobody can do nothing because the bill empowers him and the CEO to do so.
Does it make provision for tax appeal board?
There is nothing in here.
No, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Because there is under
There
this
was
present
no.
system, there is a tax
Yes.
appeal board. So if I as a taxpayer feel aggrieved,
No.
I can kick it up outside of going to the courts.
No.
I can go to the tax appeal
You know,
board.
my main objective always sitting here for years is to try and get the ordinary citizens out to understand what's going on. And we get caught up in all the jargon and all that, you know, and eventually we say, oh, screw it.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Do we have a pro and cons of both? Has that come up in the PowerPoint and so on? These are the deficiencies of the present department. Because if the objective is to collect more tax, right?
Correct.
And if you collect more tax, you have to identify more persons
Yes.
or companies you will
Sectors,
collect that
yes,
tax
from.
from. Okay. That's the only way you can get more tax. You can't get more, you can't blow out a store like this or whatever. Has this been balanced and say, okay, under SARA, we'll be able to, because maybe that's why they want to put in that. Right now, we always hear big companies, they get away because they know this one and they know that one. So maybe I'm looking at it and say, that's why they want to get the strength. You know, get it.
Yeah.
Once, it's like the IRS in the United States is ruthless. When they come after you,
Yeah.
you know, they come after you, you're on your own basically. So maybe that's why, I don't know if that's
Well,
that's what they want to do.
Let me respond with this. The big companies you said, who funds the campaigns? The big companies. And guess what?
Like my friend Troy say, we take one subject and we start to...
No. No, we have to put these things in perspective.
Yes.
I agree.
If the
Right.
minister says, if the minister instruct that taxpayer X, Y, and Z wipe them off, they're not to pay, the CEO shall effect the decision. The bill as it can be weaponized against
Isn't that what exists right now? I mean,
That's
right,
what I
right
get.
now, maybe Anissa could point to that.
No, but-
if we're talking that specific weaponization, I don't like to talk about that because I think that is the weakness, would be the
the
sole
pres-
weakness in the system. But I think any system can be weaponized. We see in the United States how the DOJ and so can be used to weaponize control, even though these people are independently appointed, the president still will control over them, he
try to
kind of
decide the
select them.
president's power.
So the question I want to kind of put to rest that whether or not under this present system, somebody could say, you know what, let me go. But why would I want to go after somebody if it is that everybody is complying? That's the question I asked. So you had a very important point that you raised earlier, Anissa, in terms of compliance. And so if we work a lot more on compliance, would we have to be isolated to go after people? Because it should be a fair system, shouldn't it?
It should, but obviously it's not.
Is it fair?
But who make it unfair? That's my
exactly.
point.
Is it fair
in
now?
your experience, 30 years at tax, and that is an important role you're playing right now with your experience. What is there that can give comfort on both sides of the equation, both for the taxpayers and for the employees? Because I think both of your concerns right now.
As it relates to
Move over to SARA based on where we are right now and some of the things that we are saying might happen under SARA. Can it not be happening right now under this system? And therefore, we really
Need for changes.
either need for change it or we're arguing about something that's already muted, that is already into the system.
I will be honest, I don't think we need to move into SARA. The
Okay.
present system that we have is able to work. And it would be just more, like, remember what I said when we had the amalgamation. There was not sufficient training. Although I believe the Director General has alluded that they have conducted over 253 or something training throughout this time.
Okay.
So your people should be well efficient in doing their jobs. So then why a SARA, right? Why a SARA? Because you have people that are quite able to do the job right now. And then again, as it relates to the collection, are there areas of improvement? Of course. It's a government system, so there are areas of improvement. You have seen and I know, because I work on a manual system to a digitalized system now through the IRIS. And the IRIS has some components of improvement, and then as well as to say that it's a good system. Of course, in any area that of the tax department, there are areas of improvement. I would say remain with this system that we have. I think
Okay.
it's workable. I believe you have people, career-oriented staff that are willing to stick it out and say, you know what, make this work. I can't see Asara working right now.
Okay.
It would be increase in staff. Where will you get the money from? I always say, you want to have a new department, but where I get the money from? The structure had to change. Where will you put 400 and add employees? Even in the district, I believe when I left, I didn't get the presentation on the structure of like the district branches and
Okay.
how that would work. Even those would change because I understand they would be acting independently. So you have it's a whole different structure.
Dean mentioned that you met with the staff on the 31st of July and came out. What was some of the points raised by the staff of concerns that were either improvement in the existing system or need to go across with the SARA as an improvement? What are some of the areas you felt was salient?
Key of course was the structure itself.
Okay.
I really want to put this question, let me put it this way. To those ministers who supported that bill without questioning it, you were told that we need to modernize our tax collection, which we support. You were told that the tax services department need more independence and autonomy. You were told that we want to remove it from political influence. How do you achieve that under this bill, Troy?
Okay.
Autonomy, is there any autonomy granted under the current draft bill? Absolutely not. So you make this, you've made it worse. You've made it worse.
The question comes to my mind, and these are the catch-22. How does I get autonomous if I'm not independent? So autonomy and independence is single-minded, meaning that power will reside somewhere in one person. And I know we made the point about the CEO being all-powerful, but then again, how do I be independent? So am I asking for something that might not be achievable? Anyway, somebody has to be in charge.
I agree, and hence why we're saying.
So my image or my thinking that they want to make it more private, like is not real.
It is not real based on the draft bill because the board, you see, Social Security Board.
You would be happy if the board is a management board.
You see, Social Security Board. That board, the CEO answers to that board, and that board ensures that the Social Security Fund becomes sustainable and that we get treated fairly.
Okay, somebody send me a note that as far as they are aware, the Tax Appeal Board would still be in place.
Okay.
So I'm just being
okay.
told that. So let's assume, because
Let's
that was one of my
assume,
questions,
because
which
we
then
didn't
takes
see it.
away the all-powerful position because now you have another adjudicating body to deal with from the taxpayer standpoint. Of course, if you have a labor issue, go to the labor department, which is your, and you might end up with a CWU representative, who knows? It might not be a public service union, but it could be like most of the quasi statutory body have union representatives as it is right now anyway.
But not even that is.
But
remember, unionism will be something that the employees decide on their own.
And sadly, we would have also showed them whereby in other jurisdictions there is a provision which grants the board authority to engage in collective bargaining. This bill is absent in that. It removes it completely. This is not to say that they cannot still, perhaps under the Trade Unions and Employees Act, to evoke that right. But other jurisdiction creates that provision and empowers the board to do that. This
Yeah, but the legislation doesn't have to say that because the labor law allows that once you are the bargaining unit for that entity, you can have seek representation, and therefore almost you're forced, management is forced into that position.
So let me get back to some of the comments also that I think we need to address.
So go ahead.
I'm reading from a release when we first blew this thing in November when we declared a trade dispute. The government, I believe, through the Tax Service, Ministry of Finance put out a release. And in that release it says, since its formation, the Belize Tax Services Department has invested in over 250 training programs at all levels, demonstrating a sustained commitment to professional development, capacity building, and employing staff. Then you have the Prime Minister come and say, the staff not capacitated, the staff can't handle the new advances in technologies, the staff not competent. So I'm asking, who are we supposed to listen to? They put out one thing that the staff is not capacitated. Put it out, not me. And then the Prime Minister come as to justify why they can't keep the staff. But let me remind the Prime Minister also of this, Troy, because again, not my words, cabinet release. It says here, just bear with me here. It says here, the government categorically rejects any claims that the transition to SARA will result in job losses. Every current employee of the BTSD will be guaranteed continued employment. I didn't put this out. So if this is what you put out to alleviate the fear from staff, how is it now that the legislation said that the people have to apply back for the same job? When your release is saying they're guaranteed, it's their choice to determine whether they want to stay or go. But now you're saying to them that they can't decide to stay. They have to apply for a job that they already have, a job that was given to them by the Public Services Commission. Why is it that these people have to now apply when you gave them guarantees in November when we declared a trade dispute that they will transition? Then we're saying to them.
But you reapply doesn't mean you don't get fired, does it?
Of course.
Well,
Yes.
For me to change my job position, I will have to do some kind of application.
But why
And
should
you don't just walk up to me and say, okay, Anissa, you know the calculation anymore. You go out on the field, go collect. You know, is that what you want to happen? Or you come and say, Anissa, I want you to reapply for your job, so we can decide where you're going.
To me, unnecessary song like you just need clarity, because if I listen to the three segment, is that if I am not accepted if I apply for the job and I'm not accepted, then the government has to redeploy me somewhere else if I'm not going to be a part of that team. And or if I decide that I don't want either, I can then decide to get my whether retirement, or maybe they do a special structure for persons who maybe not even yet reach 50, which is early retirement, to maybe retire those persons if those persons so wishes, with their benefits are so intact. I am saying that maybe that's where I think now the engagement has to be from the union standpoint, to get clarity on what those statement means.
Yeah,
because I could see where you could misinterpret what you're saying there, that if you say, oh, guarantee me why I have to apply, because that sounds like you're taking me out of the game. But I am saying that if I apply and I don't get the position,
you have to fit.
Then you have to
I think what they're saying,
I have to still keep me
change.
employed within the public service. I would think that would be the palatable thing that the government has to agree to or can do.
And commission.
And they will say that if you're not successful in the interviewing process, we'll find somewhere to put you.
Okay.
But again, if you have trained and invested in a tax professional, where do you put them? So that's last.
What I'm not getting, and I'm as confused as because basically in the private sector, if you're going to do this, the first thing you have to show, and you agree, is okay, we are going to change this because we are going to make more money. But basically, right?
That's
in private sector, whatever you do, you hire, you change your marketing strategy, you change your pricing. The final objective is we have to make more money.
Correct.
Now, if they say, to make this more money, we have to retrain the people to think differently, then everybody know it fit.
Yeah.
You see,
I
everybody
agree.
know it fits, Sarah. That's what they're doing. But what I'm hearing from you is they're not doing that. They're not. Are they? When they show you the PowerPoint, did they say, okay, with Sarah, we expect we will collect $150 million a year, and then you say, well, from where?
No data.
And then we say, well, because we'll collect it from these whatever. But to get to those people, we need specially trained agents, because that's what the IRS in the U.S. does. They have specially trained agents who deal with different auditings, and the thing in the U.S. that they know from your bond, they know already where to make. So, all of that we have to do, because you have to identify where that extra money will come from to pay for this exchange.
I fully agree with you, Ernest. And
That's
I've
a
been
basic-
begging,
that's a
I've been
basic
calling
thing.
for the data,
Yeah.
what is driving this.
Okay.
And Troy would know, I've been begging, guys, justify this thing, make it make sense. Because if we don't make it make sense, Belize will be in a worse place and taxpayers will be in a worse place. Because if we have shortfall, we have to come back to the people for fix those budgetary, or we borrow ourselves to debt, which is what we're known for, right? And the day one come away and default. Now, let's continue on the thought of the benefits. Now the Pensions Act
Okay,
says,
you see, we keep juggling from
No.
the people and then the employees.
yeah,
You know, well,
because we were talking,
But
we
they-
were
but
talking about if they
Well,
leave
there are two components
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I would, in fairness to the union, your primary focus would be your
Employees,
members.
yeah.
That's your primary focus, and then the wider I mean, no, in my days we were more just for our workers.
the
Now
workers.
union have branched out in terms of the public
The
demand
public,
and
yeah.
so. But in my for the old days with no social
Yeah.
media, and so we were basically just trying to get what we can
Make
for
sure that
our,
they
our
are
members.
fairly
no?
treated.
But I understand. I'm
The
fine. Times
employer,
have changed.
the employer is the government. The union bargains on behalf of public officers. If the government is not in a position to offer benefits to public officers, how we can benefit? So the revenue part of it concerns us because it impacts our collective bargaining agreement. It impacts our increments. It
Because
impacts on
if it
everything.
fails, they will take it away from it.
Exactly. We all, because when we all suffer, public service get worse. Now, the Pensions Act say, if you want abolish people position because of efficiency, which is what's happening here, you shall retire those people as if they worked up to the age of 55.
Right.
Whoa.
That is what the
Even if you're
Pensions Act says.
35,
Yes.
Yes, that is what the Pensions Act
What?
says. And this
some
bill,
people might like that,
this is what I'm
That is what
saying
I'm
to
saying.
them.
The discussion has to
This
be
is what
more-
I'm
more
saying to
open.
them.
Yeah.
That have you guys even looked at the Pensions Act? Because under Section 37, it says the Belize Tax Service, it says here, Section 4 and 5 of the Tax Administration and Procedure Act is hereby repealed. So you're repealing, so you're abolishing the offices that created that office. So these people, every single employee is now eligible to make a claim on the government of Belize as if they were 55 years old. That doesn't mean they said that the law they said that. And I'm saying, why aren't you saying that to the people then? And why are you giving them that option? Because you're abolishing their office.
Providing that they are not going to go over
Yes.
to
Correct.
the new
Yeah.
to the new
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah, so, but if...
But isn't that what? I don't think it was said as clearly as that. But what I gathered from what the Prime Minister said on Friday with the clip that I saw is that he created three options: staying with the public service, which and as I say, it would have its own difficulty, but I mean, it's a tedious work around, or you could retire, and that has to be specified, as you're pointing out, what that means.
Yeah.
And then
Or stay
move
in
or move over
Sarah.
with the new structure. So I believe now is I think the point here now is to get around the table with MPS, Ministry of Public Service, and everybody to kind of work out all of these kinks
Yeah.
that are going to come, because obviously this will require one-on-one discussion with individual employees.
That is what I am...
And those are the
Let's catch
conversations
up.
that are
Let's-
not happening.
let's
Yeah,
catch our breath.
Yeah,
Okay.
You
break.
know, we're 28 minutes away from 9 o'clock. We'll take a break, we'll be back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. 22 minutes away from 9 o'clock. With us is Mr. Dean Flowers, PSU President, and his Vice President, Anissa Perdomo. I know we've thrown the subject a lot around this morning, and I hope we're clearing up something in some people's minds. But the uncertainty is something that has come up, general uncertainty. And my point, as I brought up, was the private sector opposed to the public sector attitude, and because you're going to collect money. Yeah. Have you had any consultation, or have they had any with, like, say, the Chamber of Commerce? Or the Chamber of Commerce realize this not work, so better they not collect more tax anyway. So it's a benefit to them. I don't know, but the Chamber of Commerce is the rep of the private sector. Yeah. And have they had any comment or any suggestion or opinion or anything?
I don't know if they have met with the chamber separately. I know they have not met with us outside of the May 21st meeting, I believe it is. At that meeting, the chamber had a representative. To sit as part of the project steering committee. And so the chamber has been granted a seat by invitation, not a substantive seat, but a seat by invitation.
I had asked the president some time ago of the chamber, and he had indicated that they had submitted comments. I didn't get into what it is for their area, but they obviously sent in something based on what he had mentioned to me casually.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me now debunk the argument that the department is not performing or collecting revenues as it should. Because I would have explicitly explained that the bill will not grant the department autonomy nor independence. It actually makes it worse when you have one single minister. They direct the CEO, and the CEO then they direct the management, the advisory board. So that argument is unsustainable by the government. Now, if we look at the graph that I sent you, these are not my figures.
Yeah, you sent
these are the numbers from the government. And Troy, as you can see there, the department has in fact been performing. If we look at the collections in 2022-2023 fiscal year, they were at 481. They were at 481 million.
Mm-hmm.
It went up then to 548 million. It then went up to 723 million, and in this last fiscal year, 760. So there's a trend upward, which means that the department is in fact showing almost double.
That's why you bring me back to my the basic question is, the idea to do this is to collect more taxes because the government needs more revenue. So to collect these taxes, I need a certain instrument or a certain type of people to collect it. And I get from you is that that's not being pointed out. I mean, why do we have to do this?
They can't justify.
And will it cost more? Will it be will it be more efficient, you think, than now?
I don't see how it can be more efficient.
Or it costs less to run?
I don't see how it can be.
Calculators? No. I don't know.
Because you want to, when I came here the first time, I would have presented.
Well, there were things like electronic billing, electronic invoicing, and things like that.
But
that's what is being touted as a way forward.
Yeah, but they're doing that now. They're doing presentations on that, as I understand, right now. I believe
is there a digital program or something that's going to be introduced that only can operate under an entity like SARA?
You see,
we wouldn't know.
Help me out, Anissa, because when we travel and the tax, like say the GST, and so right now we go through this process of filing. But what I get out with some of those automated systems internationally is that a lot of the businesses are linked into the system. So the tax calculation is done automatically. Is this the kind of discussion is going on or intended to go on, so that at least on the urban setting, maybe in the urban setting in particular, all businesses linked into the system, so immediately when you make the sale, the tax calculation is done right away, so this filing issue doesn't really come into play consistently, and people pay extra money like interest and penalties because I never file and all of that. And I want to do an end-of-year reconciliation.
Well, this new system, IRIS, would have assisted in some of those areas. And like I said, there is always improvement in with that. I would believe, like I said, that that system would have adjusted to some of those things that you're alluding to right now. There are a lot of things that they had in place before I left, the e-voicing thing, which is presently, so they have it in place.
It's a lot more efficient
just
now
not-
than it used to be.
It's
I
just
know.
implementation of things that they have, they were would have been in place to say put out to the public. There's always room for improvement, I believe.
Well, another thing that, and this is the training and equipping that is going to be needed, because Ernesto brought up the issue of the IRS, and they are like almost like trained auditors to do forensic and different things like that. How far are we in getting maybe a cadre of people trained to that level? And pardon me for
No.
No,
Well, the
but
asking you all that,
department,
but
that's what
you've been
the department,
you'd have found there.
That's
the
my-
department
that's my
is
question.
structured
I-
with different type of auditors,
Right.
as well as doing different type of audits.
Okay.
We have the general audit, we have the
Okay.
PAYE audits,
Okay.
and as well we have the LTO, which are the large taxpayer.
Okay.
So those are divided with same cadre of different tax officers that are equipped to handle each one of those
Okay.
type of audit.
Okay.
So it's already in place.
Okay.
It's not like it's not functional. It's there. That's in place.
Another concern somebody raised is brain drain from the department.
During drain
In terms of people maybe resigning, maybe over the fact that there's this feeling that persons might be leaving
Yes,
earlier
and
than they anticipated.
well, I mentioned that to you earlier, the uncertainty.
Okay.
Of course, you're sitting there and you're hearing the whispers about Sarah. And I believe, I will say that the department did do surveys, I believe, or we have a core committee that comes out of that department assisting the PSU with this transition into Sarah. And so we do get reports of surveys being done.
Okay.
And I was there when one of the first initial survey was done. But what was included? I could not answer the survey because it was asking me things about Sarah that I don't know anything about. So it was, I could not answer any questions as it relates to that survey. Have they had meetings? Yes. But when do they have meetings? After the fact of PSU highlighting certain areas whereby we get information on the Sarah. It's after we get the information presented to our members, and then you hear the BTS management is meeting by groups with the staff. I want to get back to Ernesto comment about specialized officers as it relates to. We have that, Troy. We have people that have been there, like I said, through the amalgamation, that have been there over 25 years. So you're telling me those people are not specialized, and those are the ones. And I always have a soft heart for tax service, because I'm worried because some of those people are going to leave. And then you leave, they take all this experience.
Well, I asked you
so
about
who's
the
going
brain
to be,
drain.
who's going over to that Sarah?
Maybe.
And this is whereby the management team should be saying, well, you know what, Dean? I want you to come over. But they're not having those conversations. And this is very worrisome, that we'll have a Sarah that does not have officers with experience.
What's the next step, Dean?
Well, the next step is, of course, we
Reach out
have to
to
have
NPS
a
or-
we have to have a serious conversation to ensure that the bill in its current form is not passed. That's the first thing. And so we've reached out to our social partners, especially through the NTUCB, to put our position clear that we have to mobilize. We have to mobilize.
But you can't pick up the phone and maybe call the Minister of Public Service and just say, I don't want to have the discussion. I just say ask the...
Yes, I can.
Yes,
But what I'm saying is that where the project steering committee is concerned, the CEO sits there.
Okay.
The Minister of Public Service has been the biggest supporter of the Public Service Union in calling for this thing to be addressed with staff, you know.
Okay.
He was the one who proposed a working committee to ask the hard questions.
Okay.
He was the one who did that. And you know what the financial secretary came back with? A project steering committee rather than a working committee, because they cannot answer the difficult questions on terms of why is it that you're proposing this and justifying this, because they can't justify it in any way, shape, or form. But so I have to big up.
So why did they do it?
Kusha. I don't know,
I
because
mean, inside you must.
I don't know. We have a minister of
That's why we
finance
need a
who decided
whistleblower.
that he disregards everything that is currently. I don't know.
You say we
but
don't
I
want
wish
to
I-
deviate, but you're deviating, and that's a good point. We need the
But I mean,
whistleblowers.
no, because it's like the city is as wide as abroad. You know, I mean, so why is it being done? I mean,
I don't know.
who
I
is
wish I
there
could tell
somebody
the
will
division people.
benefit or some
I
organization
could
will
tell you
benefit
one
from
minister
it?
won't benefit because he becomes the sole authority, and the CEO won't benefit because she determines who forms her management team and
But
who
how will
works
they
there.
benefit?
What do you mean how they don't benefit?
If they are already collecting more
But
taxes
it's
right
not
now,
how
I
most
mean, there's nobody out there.
most statutory bodies are, though technically.
No, the
assuming
CEO
that
answers to the
assuming that
board.
the advisory board would be a management board, most statutory body,
Would
KHMHA, BTB, Social Security, all of them has these management board in place. So basically, the buck stops somewhere.
Yes.
Correct.
So, but we still have these situations where it's the minister that still appoint the board, and so in all of these statutory bodies. So,
We see that
what
in
I'm saying
BTN.
is the structure
But the-
mentally exists already.
But the structure, no, the composition includes social partners, so that there were the checks and balances.
Yeah.
There is no checks and balance here.
For me,
Absolutely
I got
none.
a comfort from the
Absolutely none.
taxpayer standpoint that the appeals board, because that was the valve, that the
Correct.
outlet valve
It
for
should
you
be
to
there, yes.
as an adjudicating body. As to the staff, well, they will refer back to their, either if they form themselves with union as a bargaining unit, or the labor department would be their safety valve in any event. So I'm trying to find if there's a way that you're moving ahead, but I still come back to my original question where dialogue, because it doesn't mean that the legislation may say one thing, but operationally you could function in a way that is much more palatable for the staff. Because like when the Prime Minister pointed out those three components, I could read into those things, some of the concerns you have, and then try to solve them
Yes.
one by one. And
Correct.
that was where...
And that is what we want.
Okay.
We are asking for that. You know,
Okay.
but it's
Well,
not
that's-
but it's
for
not
me, that's-
happening.
For me, my call would be that's a fair position. It's not an antagonistic position, but it is a human
Yes.
thing to do. Because I want, as an employee, to be alleviated, or I want my fares to be allayed. I want, what are my fares? That I will lose my job.
Yeah.
So
I'll
that-
be placed in a position where I can't function. So all of those things, I think in their mind, that is not even totally clear. That is maybe why we don't even have that, because that themselves is, in my mind, trying to work through that is giving me a headache.
So
Correct. But I want to,
but I
and I want to
understand
get
that
back
Sarah
to
will
what
go
you
through.
said, because it was important for us to come on the talk shows today because of the comment made by the Prime Minister. And it's important for the Prime Minister, the Financial Secretary, and the Director General to understand. We're going to come back here if that doesn't happen. If we do not engage in these consultations,
Yeah.
and it starts happening today.
Okay.
You can't go on TV and say the PSU has neglected
Okay.
their position, because that's outrightly a
Okay.
lie.
So you wanted to clear that up.
Yes, we want to clear that up.
But let me just say this as it relates to the staff. Some of these people have invested in themselves, and some of their career will be brought to an abrupt end.
Disrupted.
The Ministry of Public Service is, as you rightly alluded, is clueless right now where they will put these people. But if all of these people, for those people who reside in the different municipalities, let's look at Belize District. What if we don't have enough offices here to house them or to place them? It means you take somebody now and tell them, well, I'll give you and drop the Corozal. You take it, you leave it, but then that comes with an additional cost. Yes, you can get only $300 when, but you approve on a family and you put in a greater cost because this is where they reside. So it's not easily, if you say, staying at the public service, because if there is nowhere to put you, and then with your expertise, where can we put you with your expertise? And how does your career path is impacted?
But
if you were convinced, let's look at it this way. If you were convinced that Sarah will work and collect more taxes, then you would have to admit, guys, we have to change the way we work and we have to change the way we live. So if you're going to be moved from here to Corozal, it's for a good cause. But there's good reason for that.
But that wouldn't be under Sarah.
No, but it wouldn't be under Sarah, he's saying. It would be under the public service.
Whatever. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Sarah, as I see, is being set up so they collect more taxes and become more efficient and enforce tax collection, you know. So to do that, they have to move people around.
Yeah.
And then I guess then it's up to you as an individual say, no, I know I'm going to Corozal.
And that's what I'm saying, that when I decide I don't want to go to Corozal.
But right now you're not convinced that the whole issue is not a good move.
But no, because the data does not justify the move. The data nor the management structure does not justify it. The legislation does not achieve what they want it to achieve, which is autonomy and independence. The legislation does not achieve that.
No.
Please, let's put that out there. And from a tax collection standpoint, I've also shown you the data whereby the department has improved and is becoming much more efficient in its tax collection. So that argument doesn't hold up. But when you say to me that the only place you have for me is in Corozal or in Belmopan, wherever, and I say, no man, I can't do that, you are supposed to say to me that I have the right to exercise my rights under the Pensions Act to leave the public service with my full benefits as if I was 55.
But that's why I think the conversation has to continue.
Exactly. Then you can't force me if you go no way, brother. I never asked for this.
I wanted to ask a question to Anissa very quickly. How, generally, it is said that public officers are transferable.
Correct.
In general.
At a certain point.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, in terms of the tax services, how impactful that particular policy is and practiced in BTS,
Well,
from your experience?
the transfer.
Because he brought up the movement of transfers.
But I know the public isn't aware of it, but I know it was brought to our attention, I think a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. The entire audit section is now in Belize, the headquarters.
Okay.
So that affected officers in the branches because all of them were brought in.
Okay.
You know, was there any analysis of that to say bring in your auditors into the department? How efficient is that? Because at the same time, if we have an audit in San Pedro, we take a pool of auditors from the headquarters and send them to San Pedro. While before, we would have had auditors in those.
Okay. So you created a centralized operation.
Yes, but was that efficient?
I don't know. You'd have to tell or based on the feedback.
Well, there was no analysis done to see if the efficiency of that.
My final position on this, for right now, because at time, is that we have to find a way, to me, to have meaningful and respectful dialogue with the objective to achieve, because that's always where I think we should strive for. I don't see the question of having concerns about the employees being unreasonable. So I believe that, and from my knowledge, I know that you pointed it out, the minister is a reasonable person, understand very from an HR standpoint how impactful this is on people's lives at this point in time. If you're in the tax service right now, I have my level of anxiety I don't know if at the Congo or whatever the circumstances. And so that discussion, I believe, has to have. The legislation might have the overarching structure, but in terms of the human side, internally, we have to deal with that, and that is where I would kind of continue to urge, both from the government standpoint and the union standpoint, that there has to be that meeting of the mind to deal one by one with each of these individuals. We can't just take them as in a whole, because individual lives will be impacted. So
And each
that's
person
my
is
view
different.
as a whole union member and somebody who got a good idea of
Yeah.
where the public service stand at this point in time, and what I would like to see Belize be more humanistic.
And the PSU has always pushed on better public service. That is one of our goals. And we come here and sit on these couches and we talk to our public officers. Do your job.
Exactly.
Do your job, because that's what you're getting
I know
paid
Dean
for.
say it all the time.
And you know, and we do not condone bad behavior.
Yeah.
You know, and I would never say, because I have to get back to Ernesto on this.
All right.
The private sector, yes, operates completely different from the public sector. And believe me, I can tell you, we had very, very, very good public officers and career-oriented public
Let's
officers.
go back to the permanent secretarism. We start there.
Exactly.
You know.
So I want to
These
leave
are
with that,
pros.
that it's not entirely a bad public service. We
No.
have very good
No, no, no.
public
No.
Can't throw away the bill with
In the
bad
private
water.
sector, it is believed that if the government was run like the private sector, your staff, you could cut down to 14,000 or 15,000 staff and still be efficient.
Well,
And we know why it's that big. We know political wise, and it has a good point. The more people you employ, more people, the unemployment is lower. You know, the government have a different approach to this.
But people have to understand too that public service, there is greater demand on government for public service.
yes.
And you need people to carry out those public services. You cannot have an increased population who wants more public services and not increase the public officers to provide those public services. So we can.
True.
I am all for efficiency and I'm all for accountability.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
saying
And that's what we feel.
It cannot be that you want to statutarize so that you could pick and choose and fire people at will, because people's constitutional right remains intact and then deserve due process. And so far, and I'm not being facetious here, that has been the DG strongest argument, that she has difficulty in disciplining public officers under the current public service structure. And I'm saying, what kind of competency then does you and your management team have? Because as a manager, if you're my staff, I will hold you accountable and I will give you a due process to get rid of them.
You just
So
hit the
that's
nail
not a
on the head.
reflection of me if you can't discipline bad staff or corrupt staff. That's a reflection of your incompetency. And so we could fix where the corruption or the bad public officers are, but we have to do the work. You have to do the work. Troy, you have to prepare your case, get
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
And I want to respect those CEOs who call me on issues that, okay, this is what the staff, you work the process. Because the last person they can get for representing a commission, if it is to defend their act, they're wrong. When I show up there, I want to make sure they get their due process and that then go through the do it they need to go. That's my position.
Fair enough.
And I think that this statutarization has not been justified in any way, shape, or form. And I really think it's a shame that there was little contribution from the government side on this bill. Absolutely nobody commented. And my good friend, the DPM, when he walk out, he not even wanted during that debate. It's sad, man. When something as impactful as this on the society and on people's lives, you all sit there and just like, yeah, and not have nothing to contribute. It really leaves a lot. I mean, we really have to do better with how we choose the people and the type of people we choose.
You
So I
start
have
a
to end
whole
that.
new
Thank you very much.
conversation
Debate
here.
again.
Yes,
We
yes,
have
yes.
start a whole new attitude there.
Well, we certainly I mean, it was a very extended discussion. I think we covered wide areas. I think it's been very clear in what you wanted to get out, that you all have put in your recommendations or any sort of suggestions, and you're still open to deal with many
Yes.
of the issues that are yet unanswered in a very amicable and solution-based way. And I think that would be my call for all parties to look at it that way. So certainly appreciate both of you coming in this
You
morning.
pay your taxes, though, right?
Just,
Yes,
just,
yes,
just
yes.
allow me to just
Pay-
say to the
pay.
staff, I just want to say to the
Yeah.
staff that we will continue to engage with the government to look after your best interests. But you all also have to understand that you all have to also look after your interests. And so when the union says to you that you need to support the call for more dialogue, for us to get this thing right, you all have to take responsibility. Because myself alone, Sister Anissa alone, and the few people who are at the forefront of this fight can't do it alone. So we're saying to the staff, we will not allow you to go through this on your own. We will be there to support you and to look after your best interests. But you have to also take responsibility. And I say that, Troy, because of the anxiety and the anxiousness that exists within that staff.
Yeah.
People, desperate people, and do desperate things. And I'm saying to the government, I believe the last thing we want to do is to disrupt services
Yeah.
in the Belize
Yeah.
Tax Service. That's the last thing we want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to them, I'm throwing caution to the wind. Please reach out back to the Public Service Union, and we're giving them by tomorrow, because I would have made several letters to the Financial Secretary without having received any response. And I want to say to the Prime Minister, kindly correct your statement, sir. The FinSec gone at the meeting, the DG gone at the meeting, they reached out to them to show up at the meeting. Troy, I am not on the National Assembly Facebook or website. They say when committee meeting they meet, they know we have a vested interest. They could have picked up the phone and said, if they were genuine people, Mr. President, would they have my host committee meeting? Would they bring in the Ministry of Finance here? Please come back with debate this matter. And now I'm being thrown under the bus and say, well, you never show, brother. That no. Every time we have to be more transparent, man, more inclusive. We can't just continue
I hear
to
your
operate
call.
like this.
That's why I
No?
suggested you reach out and see how the matter can be discussed amicably, because at the end of the day, I believe that there is always a silver lining in every cloud. So that's my personal view. So I think your point has been made succinctly, and I think that the need for further dialogue is certainly there, especially as far as the staff situation is concerned. That seemed to be a little bit ambiguous. I need some clarity. So
Okay.
well, thank you very much. I want to thank Dean Flowers, the President of the Public Service Union, and Deputy Vice President as well, Ms. Anissa Perdomo as well, for being here, enjoying her retirement.
Not deputy. We know
Vice.
we are not like government with big deputy and
vice,
assistant.
vice,
We are not
vice.
like the Minister of Transport.
VP. We are like the United States Vice President. I want to say thank you to Armin Arana for doing a good job on Love FM. I want to thank our master control operator, William Usher, as well as Andrew Jones for streaming. Richard Herbert and Manuela Yusuf for producing the show. All our callers this morning, Ernesta, who made the early part of our show certainly interesting, our guests as well. And of course, those behind the scene who made the show possible. And without our viewers and listeners throughout the length and breadth of this beautiful jewel of ours, this would not be possible. So we certainly want to thank you. Those streaming as well, please, we thank you and we trust. Please keep tuned in. Business Hour comes up tonight at 7:30 right here on Love FM and Love Television. And of course, join me tomorrow, me and Ernesto, where we will do this all over again just for you. We do know you have choices where you get your entertainment, engagement, and information from, and we're always grateful and thankful when you choose love. And because you choose love, Ernesto,
That's it.
we say
Belize and beyond.
thanks for choosing love.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, Belize, and good morning. I say good morning.